I was having a conversation with one of the girls in the factory, and we were talking about our favorite taboo subject, which is pricing. And I felt like a mama bear. Like a proud mama bear because I could have spoken to her about pricing without feeling like I didn't know what I was talking about. Hey, my name is Jewel, and welcome to the Quick Stitches podcast. So the same problem that I was having with pricing was the same thing that she was having, and that is pricing your products too low. I think because we are a handmade business, we think that we don't deserve to be paid for our work, like our craft, which is really sad. I think a lot of persons express that, not just, you know, around where I live and stuff like that, but even like online. A lot of persons talk about pricing is such a taboo subject, and I don't really know how much I'm gonna like price this because hey, not everyone wants to pay for handmade products. Like, oh my god. Let's have a conversation about that, please. The whole reason why I was working full time and why I was out of my house 12 hours for the entire day, 5 days a week, was because I had been charging my products too low. I run a sewing and alterations business, and I really was kind of scared to charge persons for what I was giving them. And because of that, we couldn't pay rent, which means that we had to get a job, a whole job. And that's the reality. Was I annoyed with myself? Oh, hell yeah. I was so angry with myself because I was like, you are worthy. You deserve to be paid for your work. You went to school, you studied this. Why do you feel like you should not be paid for what you make? So basically, I was undercharging while overworking for my clients. And literally, it was like just to get clients, which is kind of crazy. So when the threat of eviction had hit that front door, I got a reality check, a serious reality check. I started looking at what I can do. So there was literally like other custom designers that were also, in the same niche that I was in. And so I started to look at what they priced their work at. Some persons had it, some persons didn't. The ones that did it helped me to see that I was probably pricing my clothing at a fraction of what they were doing. So it was like 1% of the price that they were charging, which is wild to me. And as I mentioned before, I was so scared to raise my prices because what if persons don't buy from me? What if persons think that I'm too expensive? What if persons decide to go somewhere else? What if, you know, I lose the business? What if I have to return home? What if I can't pay rent? All those questions and concerns literally came up for me. And I feel like that's something that comes up for a lot of persons, especially creatives. What if we can't pay our bills? What if we charge so high and persons don't appreciate our work and the amount of time and schooling that we took? And what if we just fail? But that's a scarcity mindset, right? Scared money don't make no money, right? So I had to think quickly. I had to really like try something. I was scared, I'm not gonna lie, but I really couldn't be scared and have a scarcity mindset as well too. So we tried something. The first thing that you're always taught when it comes to like budgeting is always to make sure and calculate your expenses. So that's the first thing I did. I calculated my expenses to see how much things I'm actually spending on, to know how much money I'm gonna have to bring in into the business. So then I need to see how much clients I was gonna bring in, and then at what rate was I going to charge these clients to make sure I was covering my expenses and yet still having something to live on. I had calculated everything I needed, all my expenses. I had calculated how much people I need to come into the business every month, and I had my goal. I had this whole thing, and I said, okay, now it's time to try it out in the field. So I literally went and tried it out on person. I went into the fabric district, and I kid you not, the same week that I got that sewing job was the same week that I had gone into the fabric district and I had met these girls in the fabric store, and one of them asked me if I was a designer. And I said, yes, I was a designer, I'm a sewist. And she said, that's great. Can you design something for me, like draw something for me right now? I want a dress for an event. And she wanted to know if I could just, whip something up right there and then. I ain't got no sketching skills to save my life, but I still tried something, right? So I had done the entire drawing, listened to what she wanted and everything, and then she had asked me how much would that cost to actually get made. And this is where my heart was like really beating. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to say the actual correct pricing because hey, we're not trying to be scared here. And I said it. I told her it's gonna cost so and so amount, and that's with no fabric provided. And I thought that she was going to say, oh my god, you are so expensive. Oh my god, are you ridiculous? Instead, she said, damn, that's a very reasonable price. A reasonable price? I honestly didn't really think about it. It's not like an exorbitant price or anything, but I was so scared. I was so scared. I thought that, oh my god, that's not gonna work. But she said it was a reasonable price. Reasonable. So I said, okay, let's go and try it on some other people. So for everyone that had asked me what it would cost to get something made, according to what it is, I actually had a base price that I was not going below. Because the base price, according to the amount of clients I get, would actually help me to pay my bills. So that's what I went with. And for everyone that I encountered, they told me that it was a good price. It was okay. That was a good pricing. That gave me the confidence that I needed because I was so scared. I was so scared to just raise my prices and actually pay or ask for what I'm worth. Today, charging for certain things, because I have a base price and because it has been established that it's a really reasonable base price, I have no qualms about charging persons for what they want to get done. I have been getting a lot of requests to like do wedding dresses, and we know the wedding dress market is wow, very grand. So I've been getting a lot of requests to do it as well too, and because I no longer have a scarcity mindset, I'm just telling persons, yeah, this is how much this is gonna cost. If you want a dress like this is how much it's gonna cost. Really, that has freed me mentally. I can turn down clients who don't want to pay. I can turn down work that I don't want to do, and I can still have money in my bank account to take care of myself and pay my bills. I think the key takeaway in this episode is to charge what you're worth. My uncle, who's a tailor, he always tells me, as long as you're giving quality work, you can charge for that quality work. You know what you are giving them. So always charge what you're worth.